I lived in Sherburne, Louisiana, and my dad ran a big hotel there for fishermen and hunters, and my mother was a postmistress, and my sister was born there. But I lived in this big hotel, and my brother and I used to have a lot of fun upstairs in the hotel, and we had one of those push carts where you sit in it and you push it to go somewhere, and we used to play there. And we had a cook stove, and you had to get fire and cook on the cook stove, and we had a colored gal that worked for us. Her name was Lump. And she was a great person, and right outside the window at the kitchen, every Sunday the black people would come and baptize right outside the window. And I remember when my brother was about 10 years old, he got a BB gun for Christmas, and horses used to pull up to the hotel.
How old were you in relation to your brother?
We're 18 months apart, and he was younger than I was. And anyway, he went out and put the BB gun right on one of those horses and shot it, and the horse kicked him, and we had to take him to the doctor. I was born in Morganza, Louisiana, and it was a place where I lived with a lot of my family, my dad's brothers and sisters, and
scoot up a little bit.
And anyway, I was born in a little tiny house, and the doctor came and did everything that you'd have done in the hospital now. And he, on my birth certificate, I'm a male instead of a female. But Dad got it fixed. When I married Dad, he went to New Orleans, and he got, I'm a female now. A doctor in this hotel that would come, and when my sister was born, my mother almost died. And I remember this doctor coming, and he had epilepsy or something, and he would go, ah, all over the hotel. And it was weird, really weird.
Is it muddy in Louisiana?
Muddy? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we used to catch crawfish in a little ditch. You know what crawfish are? Mm-hmm. My daddy did logging, which was where you put logs on a barge and you push it down the river. And then he got a chance to run this hotel in this little town of Sherburne. I was born in Morganza. Trying to think. Oh, we used to have a showboat that would come down the river. And we used to get on the showboat, and they'd have shows for us to look at. And there was one gal that sang, and that was the first song I learned. It was, yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, I don't mean baby. Yes, sir, that's my baby. Now, anyway, that was fun.
Did you play any musical instruments?
I used to play the piano by ear. My mother was a music teacher. That's how she met Papa.
I mean, how did your mom meet your dad?
Well, she graduated from she was a music teacher, and she got a job in White Castle, Louisiana, where my dad lived, and she got a job teaching, I guess, music, and they fell in love. When my grandfather and grandmother married, my grandmother didn't speak English, and my grandfather didn't speak French.
What'd she? Oh,
but they fell in love, I guess.
She spoke French?
She spoke French.
Mm-hmm. She was from France or Canada?
Mm-hmm. And when I was a little girl and went to school, The first row was the first grade, and the second row was the second grade, and the third was third grade.
We only had one class.
And had one class and one teacher. Barlow.
Right. What was her maiden name?
Landry.
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 She's the one that spoke French.
She's the one that spoke French. And anyway, I used to go barefooted a lot of times to school. We didn't have any rules, and my teacher and my mother were best friends, so I couldn't get by with anything at all. And when we lived there, my brother and I decided we were going to smoke some cigarettes. So we went down and bought some from a little store, and my mother and daddy knew this man that had this little store, and we bought some cigarettes and said we were buying them for Leonard, who was my cousin that was living with us. And we went behind the levee and hid and smoked cigarettes. And we got so sick. And I was crazy about my grandmother because when I was a little baby, she would rock me all night long. They never let me cry. A nickname for me was Bootsy.
Did you wear boots all the time?
Did what?
Did you wear boots all the time?
No, I didn't wear boots. I don't know how I got that name. I was crazy about my grandmother, and I said, Mother, just do anything to me for smoking these cigarettes, but please don't tell my grandmother, because I was so crazy about her. And from Sherburne, Louisiana, we moved to Houston. And I can remember going on the train, and my sister was a baby. And I can remember coming into Houston, and there was water everywhere. They probably had a lot of rain. And we moved to an upstairs apartment. And when I went to school, I was so nervous that I just went all over the place.
What grade were you in?
I was probably in the second grade. So, and I didn't know how to get home. But there was a tower on the apartment where we lived, and I'd go around looking up at see if I could see the tower so I could find my way home. And my mother couldn't come get me because she had my sister as a baby. So I don't think my brother had any trouble, but I did.
Did you have any pets when you were little?
Had lots of pets. We always had a dog, and I can't remember the names of the dogs. But then we moved to a house, and we rented the house from a man, and come to find out he didn't own the house. And so the owner of the house came by one day and wanted the rent, and we'd already paid it. So anyway, we had to move. And we moved on Pearson Street, which my dad bought for $2,500. And that wasn't very much money, but it was a lot of money then. And that's where I grew up. That's where I grew up and went to school.
What year were you born?
1922. I'm 87. Anyway, I grew up on Pearson Street, and like you're going to have, I had a lot of boyfriends. A lot of them.